Hello everyone. In this session we will see how a patient from registration moves to triage and then to the outpatient department in the system. To do so, type in the URL and log in through your username and password. Right now I will log in as the triage user. On successful login as the triage user, the following screen will appear. Click on OPD on the navigation menu. In the location bar, select the location of the triage, which is either casualty triage or OPD triage. All the patients who have been registered for this particular triage will start to appear in this list. These are a list of patients who are new as well as revisit. Now click on the patient's identifier or the patient's name. The following screen will begin to appear. Here, all the vitals of the patient must be entered by the triage user. The first field here is weight, followed by height in centimeters, then MUA circumference, chest circumference, abdominal circumference, temperature in degrees centigrade, systolic BP, the diastolic BP, respiratory rate, pulse rate, LMB in case of a woman, then blood group must be selected from the drop down, followed by the rhesus factor. If it's known, then positive or negative. If it's not known, then not known can be selected from the drop down. PITCT, reactive, non-reactive, not known. And then from triage, the patient must be referred to the outpatient department, and that can be selected by this drop down, and this is done by the triage user. The triage user will guide the patient to the particular OPD. Say now this patient is referred to the general OPD. So general OPD must be selected from the drop down. Now the user can use the reset option to completely reset the screen, or once the details are successfully filled in and the triage user is good with these results, he or she should click on save to save these results in the system and to refer this patient to the general OPD. Click on save. Now the patient will move to the queue of general OPD. Now we will see the functioning of the outdoor patient department. To see so, type in the URL and log in through a doctor's username and password. On the successful login, the following screen will appear. Click on OPD on the navigation menu. Select a location. Now, all those patients who have been referred from the triage will begin to appear here. If this list is very long, the patients can be shortlisted by searching the patient in queue. Now, patient queue and search patient in queue is meant for that particular day. All those patients registered or referred from triage on that date itself will appear in the patient queue. If for any reason an old patient has to be searched or the doctor needs to review that patient, the patient can be searched in system by clicking on search patient in system, and the patient can be searched by using the name or identifier. Now to go to the patient's dashboard, click on the patient ID or patient name. What you see now in front of you is the patient's dashboard. These are all the details that have been pulled in from triage. These are filled in by the triage user. Now the doctor has two mandatory fields on this screen. One is the provisional diagnosis and other is a visit outcome. Nevertheless, all the other fields can also be used by the doctor. The doctor starts to fill in the history of the present illness. Then the doctor chooses a provisional diagnosis. The provisional diagnosis can be chosen either from this list, or if it is typed in this box, all the similar diagnosis will be pulled in by the system and the doctor can then choose from the list that populates. Say fever. So these are all the concepts which have been made in the dictionary before. All these diagnoses are linked to ICD-10 and one of these diagnoses can be chosen for this patient. Once the diagnosis begins to appear in this box, it means it has been selected. Similar thing can be done for procedures. The doctor can also choose from this list say appendectomy. Now, if the procedure is a major procedure or a minor procedure and a OT is required for performing such a procedure, then the doctor needs to schedule this procedure. This is done by clicking on schedule. The system will prompt the doctor to put in a date, say for today, and then press on close. Now this procedure has been scheduled for the 9th of June. In a similar way, the doctor can also order for various investigations on this dashboard. This is either the lab investigation or the radiology investigation. Say serum albumin, lipid panel, and say one of these ultrasounds called ultrasound thyroid. Now whatever doctor has ordered on the patient's dashboard, the queue of these investigations as well as the procedure will then move to billing for these procedures to be paid by the patient and then further process these patients in the respective departments. Also the doctor here can order for drugs. Now this particular drug order management will be shown in another session where we also show you the inventory and the pharmacy. Right now on this dashboard we skip it. So here what we see is procedures and investigations. Now if there are any other instructions that the patient should be given are also fed in by the doctor. If there is any kind of internal referral, say from general OPD the patient needs to move to a specialized OPD or any other department, the patient can be internally referred and then the patient's queue will begin to appear in that particular department. Or the patient can also be externally referred to one of the higher care centers if the case may be. Then as mandatory, the doctor must enter the visit outcome, which can be either a follow-up, cure, died, reviewed or admit. Right now we select reviewed. So this is the OPD form where the doctor needs to enter two mandatory fields and then can also post a patient for various procedures and investigations as well as drugs. Now there are a few other tabs that we see on this dashboard, which is clinical summary, lab record, radiology record, IPD record and pharmacy record. These will be demonstrated to you as we progress with other modules. But to know here is important that clinical summary is a record of all consecutive OPD encounters. The lab record is the record of all the lab investigations that the patient has ever undergone. The radiology record is the record of all the radiology investigations that the patient has undergone. IPD record is the record of all consecutive admissions the patient has undergone, and pharmacy record is for all the drugs that the patient has been advised and have been issued to the patient by the system. These all will be demonstrated with the respective modules. So right now the doctor enters the OPD entry screen and concludes this visit by clicking on conclude visit. Now let us see the billing of an outdoor patient. To do so, type in the URL and log in through a billing administrator username and password. On successful login, the following screen will appear. Click on Billing on the navigation menu. Once this screen appears, please click on Outdoor Patient Billing Queue. Select a date in this box. By default, the current date will be chosen in this box. And then click on Get Patients. A specific patient can be searched by typing in the patient ID or name in this box. Otherwise, the entire list of patients who have been ordered investigations or procedures from the patient's dashboard will be enlisted here. Click on either the patient's identifier or name. Then appears a order ID. Now this order ID is sequentially generated by the system. Click on the order ID. Now these are all the services that have been ordered by the doctor and hence have appeared in the billing for the patient to pay them first, and then they'll move to the different departments. Like serum albumin and lipid panel will move to lab, ultrasound will move to radiology, and appendectomy will move to the operation theatre for the doctors to know that the patient has already paid for these investigations and to perform the tests further. By default, the quantity is 1, which can be changed as per the need be. If for one particular test the patient should not pay, then this box can be unchecked. Say if the surgery is very expensive and the doctor or the exemption committee exempts the patient from paying for particular surgery, then on unchecking this box, this will not be a part of the final bill. Then in the end, a waiver amount can be entered, which will be subtracted from the total on saving the bill. Once this is finalized, click on Save Bill. The following screen appears. Now since I'd unchecked the box in front of appendectomy, this is very much the part of the bill, but the patient does not pay for this particular surgery. So hence the total amount the patient pays is 250 Kenya shillings from the 350 which was the total of the bill. Now here it is important to hit print, because print is the trigger for the queue to populate in different departments. So please click on print. printout of the cash receipt can then be handed over to the patient. Now from billing, the queue will start to move to the various departments for which the patient has been billed for. All the lab investigation will move to the laboratory department, all the radiology investigations will move to the radiology department, and if at all the patient has been posted for any procedure, the queue will start to populate in the operation theatre module.